It is Thursday here at Gen Con, and one of the big role-playing game releases this year is not at this booth, but I decided I'd swing by and talk. No, I'm kidding. Actually, Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, yes, I am kind of a Weisenheimer, is one of the huge RPG releases, and I have Martin Ericsson as well as Jason Carl joining me, and we're going to talk V5, I guess we could say. Yeah. Everybody's calling it V5 for short. So, Vampire came, in the 90s, kind of took everybody by surprise, really revolutionized role-playing games. And of course, some people were upset because it was like, it's not my favorite system. Vampire's been going strong for, over 25 years? Yep. So let's talk about 5th edition. Who wants to start off?
What do you want to know? Yep.
What is a role-playing game?
I can start off straight off that bat. Because the things you just said about how it was revolutionary, looked like nothing else, took the industry by storm, that is like, we've been thinking, what if it launched today? What would it look like? What would it feel like to be as different from role-playing games as it is? So that's why we went straight down the route for photographic art, making it really dark, really contemporary, and with a rule system that does what it promises. So it's an exploration of your inner beast, and it's for every single person who loves vampires. And taking it to making it...
They don't shine either. They don't sparkle.
Nope. Even if, you have to...
Glitter on them. They will not
roll them in glitter, and there would be no sparkle of any kind.
There's such a black hole of anti-light in the Vampire the Masquerade that sparkling waves collapse. But seriously, Vampire the Masquerade did affect the entire vampire culture of the 20th and 21st century a lot. So, and of course, that is something we look at when we make an edition like this, is look at entire vampire culture. How do we make it as relevant for all vampire fans as D&D is for all fantasy fans, for instance? So yes, that is a concern, and it's something that is beautiful to be back with the dark original again.
Now, one question I would have, and this is just some things that I've heard kind of floating in the ether out there, because this is very dark.
It is very dark.
That the player characters are monsters. We'll do some B-roll footage, too. It is for 18 and up, folks, and that's no joke. What's going to happen with folks out there who are like, oh, you know what, I don't want to necessarily have a monstrous character, because these player characters are monstrous.
They are monstrous, but there is a place in Vampire the Masquerade for those people, too. And what we've decided to do is we've given them a lot of great information and some wonderful tools so that they can review the book and decide how much darkness is right for them and their friends. Jacqueline Brick wrote a wonderful series of essays that are in the free PDF that comes with the book, and it talks about things like how to deal with uncomfortable subjects at the table. What if there are lines that players don't want to cross? What if they want to tell a story that is more heroic and a little less monstrous? How do we deal with extreme politics? How do we deal with sex and violence today as players at the table? And what are our responsibilities as players to each other and as people? So there's a lot of great information available in the game for those people to set the darkness tone right where they want it.
That's one part, and the other part is making it interesting to do that moral challenge.
Sure.
To say, how can I stay humane even if I'm addicted to blood? Do I only feed off blood bags? Do I only feed off animals? Do I try to have willing victims and so on? And that's also covered.
Okay.
So you can make it exciting to make those moral choices, at the same time as having all of the modern tools to make it a comfortable and fun and cool experience for everyone.
Because Vampire always has been for a mature audience. Always has. I mean, just the subject matter alone screams a mature audience. Now, as far as some of the changes that may have taken place from 5th edition compared to the prior 4th edition, what's a little bit different?
I'd say that the being a vampire is now in the core system in a much more solid way. So your hunger is ever present. You're reminded of your hunger. The emotions of your victims matter. So every NPC is potential treasure. Their blood can contain something special. So those, I think, are two very quite intense focusing the game on being a vampire should be fun just plain by itself. And then you have all these gorgeous eternal intrigues and struggles of the different ages of vampires throughout history and so on. But at the end of the day, playing a vampire should be fun just straight off the bat.
Exciting.
Going hunting should be super exciting. And that's what we try to make with this edition.
We don't want like the Munsters kind of version of vampires, right? Yeah, Grandpa Munster. What other changes have been put into the game, Jason, as far as, say, mechanically? Are we still looking at kind of a pretty easy system to jump into?
Very,
Real crunchy?
very easy. It's still a narrative system. It's still a system based on D10s and die pools, but the game designers have streamlined it. They've stripped it down. I think the basic rules chapter is only 16 pages long. That's everything you need to know to play, and then everything else is optional and advanced to make it as crunchy as you want it to be for your particular taste.
I gotta have my grappling rules.
You gotta have your grappling rules. You gotta have your dragon's breath round.
A running joke.
So I think one of the great innovations of the game is just how fast it goes. It takes care of a lot of complicated situations that used to take quite a long time in previous versions of the system, and boils them down to their essence. There are even rules in there for playing without dice. There are rules in there for we call 3 and done. You decide, let 3 die rolls decide the whole scene, and then you just move on. It's really important for players to get the kind of narrative experience they want, and the rules really do reflect that now.
Right, and that actually has been kind of a trademark of Masquerade, where the narrative and storytelling has always been at the fore.
Yeah, I mean, it gave birth to free-form role-playing, and a lot of these like Forge School games and so on seem to have been direct comments on these systems. So now, of course, we take all that beautiful work that has been done, taking inspiration from that. I know that Carl Bergström took a lot of inspiration from Fate. Kenneth Haidt, of course, has looked at Gumshoe and the things he's worked on with that.
Yeah, Ken's done some great stuff. I was actually kidding with Jason before you sat down and said, well, I know Ken did a lot of work on this, so did you have to slip in some Lovecraftian references?
Could be 1 or 2. Right. Maybe. I don't know what you mean.
I mean, I think it's more his fascination with the real world of intelligence agencies and conspiracies and so on. Right. That's for sure right in there. And yes, of course,
it's largely his work, and that's the mortal organization of government agencies that hunt the vampires tonight. And there's a lot of Ken in that.
Nice. Very nice.
And yeah, of course, ancient dreaming beings under the earth. Anyone,
Not crafting at all.
Not at all.
No.
I mean, elder ones or older things. See, I'm changing things around, so it's not like, oh, okay, so the elder ones.
But yeah, no, we're keeping the vampire tentacles for later books. Yes.
So what is on the horizon
now? The Camarilla and the Anarch book. Freya right there is developing the Camarilla book. I'm writing some stuff for it. It's almost done. So that and Anarch, which is by Johanna mainly, who is an awesome writer. It's a set of essays of like all the different ways that vampires outside the system live and survive and thrive today.
Yeah. Onyx Path Publishing, our licensee and licensee partner, is going to publish Chicago by Night 5th edition. We're going to return to the vampires' original adventure roots in the Windy City and take a look.
I'm from Chicago, so that was one of the things that I had noticed when Vampire first came out. I was like, whoa, there's a Chicago source book?
And then I hear rumors that the Sabbat may make an appearance before too long. But we also have to get to work on Werewolf soon, too.
Right.
That's not mentioning the digital products and board games and so on. You have Heritage, which is a legacy board game set in the world of Vampire the Masquerade, where you're going to play from Dark Ages forward, taking your bloodline and how they affect the world. Like, seriously, in the way of Pandemic Legacy and so on. So you permanently affect the world. Also maybe some other surprises.
Oh, I'm sure there's plenty of irons and fires here. No. Just do it 5th edition. We're going to wrap it all up. That's going to be it.
We're good. We're out. Mic drop.
And this is a Gen Con release. When are the hardcovers going to hit retail?
Depends on where exactly you live and how your retailer orders, but generally they're going to start showing up on shelves as early as next week in some areas, and they'll continue to roll out the distribution chain throughout the month of August.
Gentlemen, any final words you'd like to share with our audience about either V5 or anything else?
If you're a vampire fan, this game is for you. If you've ever loved vampires in any way, in any shape or form, I would encourage you to take a look through the book and find the vampires that speak to you. This is for you. This is why we wrote it.
For you, yes, you, the individual watching right now.
Yep.
Mark, any last words?
The temptation is real. Go.
I could take that in a lot of different ways.
Well, you should read the book and find out.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for taking time out. It is,
Thank you, Jeffrey.
you got all these people out here picking up the book, and you guys will sell out before the show is over. I know
prediction,
it.
huh?
That is an official prediction.
All right, well, you heard it here first.
Even though you're not watching live and you'll see this after the show, I'm telling you, this is going to sell out.
Okay.
Thank you.
We would not complain about that.
Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.